Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Knessa coming to you from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this, the 9th day of May in the year 2022. Sure hope you're enjoying your Monday, no matter where it is you are in the country. Here in the Northeast, getting a little bit warmer, and it's going to get even warmer as the week goes on. It's finally spring. Feel like early summer almost later on in the week. So hope you're enjoying this beautiful weather that we're going to experience, and I hope it stays nice and dry for all of us. As you do every week, you welcome me into your homes so that I might bring you the current week's news. And as you can see from the front page of this week's edition, it says Turning 135. And that's a little bit about us. The Observer newspaper on May 14th will be 135 years old, which is pretty remarkable when you think about it. And you think about how so many newspapers have been closing, shuttering, whatever you want to call it, merging, all sorts of things that are happening over the last few years, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic that has caused a whole lot of turmoil in the newspaper business. But we continue to move along and do our best to bring you the best in the weekly news category and, of course, during the course of the week via TheObserver.com. But we've also come to a realization that it's not enough, and it's not going to be viable if we just decide we're going to do a newspaper and a website every week or on a daily basis when it comes to the website. And so as the year 2022 goes on, we are going to become more of a media company, as the saying goes. And what that will do is allow us to offer to clients printing options, consulting options. If you're opening a business and you need to get menus printed and designed, things of that nature. I don't want to say business cards because they're easy, but of course, if you need business cards, you'll be able to do that. As a former candidate for political office from 1998, 99, and 2000, we can offer potentially new candidates to the realm of politics consulting ideas on how to design, and we'll do it for them, papers to hand out, palm cards to leave at the doors, campaign brochures and literature, and all sorts of things of that nature. So anything you can think of that you would get from a full-service media company, we'll be able to do. And listen, even though we're sort of making a grand announcement now, it's not like this is new. Our own Lisa Fiorenzo started LMF Marketing many, many years ago, and she's done a substantial amount of work over the years with LMF Marketing, with political candidates and businesses and things of that nature, places that need printing things done or even digital things done. And that's what we're hoping to do, is to expand that offering in a greater way for the people of West Hudson, South Bergen, and Western Essex counties. So you'll see things appearing, and of course, if you are in a business and you need work done, you'll be able to come right to us. You won't have to go far. A lot of times these businesses are located all over the place. You won't have to travel. We'll be right here for you. And the best thing is it's all under the same umbrella, under LMF Marketing. Also, West Hudson Publishing Company, which is our official name. It's West Hudson Publishing Company, and you'll be able to do it all right here in our office here in Kearney. So as we celebrate 135 years, we look back at all those years and the fact that we were able to survive two pandemics, two global pandemics. We survived 2 world wars, other wars, 9/11, so many things, and we're still here, and we hope to be bringing you local news for the next 135 or years more. But we do realize that with times changing, that you have to adapt, and that's exactly what we are going to do as a company, and we hope you will join us and be part of that growth. 135 years strong. On the bottom of page number 1 on this week's edition of The Observer, a very, very bizarre story from Lyndhurst. Early last week, we got word that a gentleman was keeping police at bay, and pardon me, it happened in the afternoon. And then the next morning, we woke up to find out that they were still on scene were the Lyndhurst Police Department and a whole bunch of other police agencies with them. What it turns out is the man who was arrested, who you'll read about in this week's front page story, his name was Robert Condit, and it turns out that earlier in the day, that same day, he had a court case in Bergen County Superior Court. He was there because he had a gun. He has weapons, obviously. He had, I think, 7. And they were all registered and licensed to him, but one of them was stolen, and he knew who stole the gun, but he misreported it and just said it was stolen, and he didn't know where or who took it, when in fact it is believed he did. So the Bergen County prosecutor made motions to, I guess revoke is the word, his license to purchase firearms, and to take away from him all of the ammunition and the cache of weapons that he has in his Lyndhurst home. One thing leads to another. The court case, the judge decides in favor of the county and orders that he surrender all of his weapons, his ammunition, and his license to purchase firearms in the state of New Jersey. Now, this is a guy who is a staunch Second Amendment person, okay? And when I was talking to Vinny Ortieri, Lieutenant Ortieri from the Lyndhurst Police Department, he kind of made an example like this. Vinny's got kids. And he says, if a judge tells me that I have to give my kids back for whatever reason, it's not going to be pretty. I'm not going to just go about it. There's going to be some kind of resistance. This man, Condit, is single, has no wife, no children, and basically his version of children are his guns. He's a staunch believer that he has the right to carry arms, as guaranteed by the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution. So the belief is, speculation is, that the reason he kept police at bay for 21 plus hours over 2 days was because it was like they were taking away his children. In his own world, he wasn't going to go down without a fight, and that's exactly what he did. At one point, he shot off a flamethrower, which he purchased perhaps illegally, and there's a belief that it might have been purchased on the dark web. And because he shot off the flamethrower 3 times at 2 tactical officers, he has subsequently been charged with 2 counts of attempted murder. So this went from a simple barricading situation to a point where the man is now stands accused of attempted murder for shooting off those flamethrowers. So that's where it stands right now. The last we heard, pardon me again, he was on remand at the Bergen County Jail awaiting court. I doubt he's going to get any bail. He was evaluated psychologically at Newbridge, and after that evaluation was then taken to the Bergen County Jail in Hackensack. And I presume because he was sent to the jail from Newbridge Medical in Paramus that he, quote-unquote, passed the psychological exam or was found to be within the right limitations. So that's what that story was all about last week. Much more complex than what people were talking about on social media. And one other thing, let me just say this again. I don't want to sound like a preacher here, but we have talked about this so many times, you and I have, over the years, about how irresponsible it is when people go on social media and post rumors about what was happening that day in particular, but just in general, because there were several reports on social media. Number one, that there were shots fired when no shots were ever fired throughout the entire course of that day. And number two, that he was holding hostages in the house, when the reality is that when he arrived home and snuck in past the police officers, who, by the way, were waiting there for him to get the weapons and the ammunition and all that, they were there, and he snuck in a garage door. The 2 people who had been in the house at the time, he let them go right away. So there was never a point in time where he held anybody hostage. But people would actually go on Facebook, were actually going on Facebook and saying this guy was holding hostages. That's just wrong. It's just wrong. Folks, if you don't know what you're talking about, be careful, because it caused a panic for some people. Because, they did put that area on lockdown, and some people couldn't get into their homes for over a day. But, at no point was anybody held hostage or were shots fired throughout the course. Yes, he shot off the flamethrower, but that's not the same as shooting bullets. So take a look at the story and you let us know what you think. Write us a letter if you want to editorial@theobserver.com, and we'll print your comments about it. Or you could always reply underneath this video on Facebook if that's where you're watching. Or no, we don't have the comments turned on YouTube. I think I mentioned last week in the broadcast that on Monday of last week, I had a chance to go down Axon, the company that makes the taser weapons and the body-worn camera for police departments, was in Kearney. George King, the chief, brought in their mobile unit, which is a trailer attached to a lorry-type vehicle, and they have all these really cool demonstrations with virtual reality scenarios that police officers face. I got to get involved with one, and then was able to shoot off one of the tasers at a target. It was the first time I ever pulled a trigger. It was very, very intriguing, and I recapped that because it was a very intriguing experience. Now, this company also makes drones, and from what I understand, Officer Jordy Jean and Rich Pulaski have presented the council with their plans for the purchase of a significant drone for the Kearney Police Department, which could very well be used by the fire department and other first responders and things of that nature. And I really think this is a great plan that Rich and Jordy came up with, and I hope the council approves it. They have to find the funding for it. But I'm going to give you an example where George King was saying that this could have been useful immediately. You may recall last year that a roof collapsed at a postal facility. I want to say it was the Daniels facility, but I'm not 1,000% sure off the top of my head. And when the roof collapsed, they weren't sure right off the bat whether everybody had been removed from the building. Now, they couldn't send anybody in because the stability of the building was in question, and it just wasn't safe to send manpower in there. Now, had they had this drone that day, they would have been able to fly it in, and they would have been able to tell whether there was anybody left inside that building. So that alone would probably be a good enough reason to purchase one of these apparatus. Jerry Facito, the Fourth Ward councilman, also told me a story. I believe this was California, but don't quote me on that, where there was a car crash and a car traveled down a deep ravine. They had to propel first responders down to help the people who were caught in the cars, but somebody was in need of a defibrillator, and it would have been impossible to carry one down the way they had to propel them down into this ravine. So the police department in question has one of these incredible drones, and they were able to fly the defibrillator down to the first responders who were there, and a person whose heart had stopped was brought back to life. And if it weren't for that drone, that person more than likely would have died. So there's so many benefits to these drones for use in police work these days. And I got to tell you, I really, really do hope that the funding is out there for it, because it will benefit you, it will benefit me, it will benefit all of us in the long run and make Kearney a safer place to be, to work, and to live. So we'll see what happens. But great job by Chief King bringing Axon here. All members of the police department and other departments were invited to stop by and take part in the festivities, as I was, and other members of the public. I really enjoyed that day, and it was great to hear about Jordy and Rich's proposal that the council had heard just before they were able to go outside and see a live demonstration of this very same drone. So we'll keep you posted on that. We hope that one is available soon. They're not cheap, though, so hopefully the funding will be out there. Excuse me. Did you know the Nutley Oval is now under the lights after a long period of time? They have finally installed, and the lights are on. They'll be ready for the football season. They had a lacrosse game a few weeks ago under the lights, and so now that place that was once only available for daytime sporting events will now be available for nighttime events. A long time coming, and a congratulations to everybody who was involved there, and my colleague Ron Lear has a story about that. Belleville's artist in residence. Her last name is G. She is a Ukrainian woman who is living in Belleville now. You've heard us speak about her, but she's done this incredible project where the colors of the Ukrainian flag are draped on trees in some parks in the township of Belleville. Wait till you see the dramatic pictures of the trees that she has decorated. It is just absolutely fascinating stuff, and she's done a phenomenal job as she does on everything that she touches. She's just such a phenomenal artist, and they're very lucky to have her in Belleville. Real quick, in the sports world this week, Jason Bernstein's got a story about the boys and the girls crew team for the town of Kearney. I didn't know this, but apparently the crew program had a couple of lean years. Some of it, of course, was because of the pandemic, but for other reasons, things slowed down. You know, Kearney's always been known for crew. They've always been extremely strong, but they had a couple of lean years, and now they're back, and they're in the States, which I believe take place later this month down in Camden. So congratulations to them, and thank you to Jason for doing the story. He's also got an Athlete of the Week. You know I'm not going to tell you who that is, so you'll have to check that out on your own. As we do every week, 2 pages of classified. So if you need a job, if you need to rent an apartment, rent a house, whatever it is, we've got it in this week's classifieds. So please check them out as you can. Now, before I sign off, I'm going to do something a little non-traditional today, but I wanted to make a special word of thanks to the Harrison the Harrison Fire Department. Last week, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday going into Thursday. I was in bed and I woke up, and when I stood up, within a minute, I was unable to catch my breath. And it was one of the scariest things I think I've ever experienced in my life. It was so bad, my breathing, that I honestly thought I was going to die. I really did. But the truth of the matter is, fortunately, I didn't. I was able to get myself outside, and by the time I got outside, the fresh air certainly helped. It turns out I was having somewhat of an asthmatic attack. I didn't know that I was asthmatic, but that's the basic diagnosis. My lungs had basically tightened, and I was struggling to get air. But I called 911 because I thought I was going to be a goner. And the Harrison Fire Department sent over a truck. I am deeply indebted to the 2 firefighters who came over. And, of course, I can't remember their names because that day I was so out of it. And I met them both before. I know that. But they know who they are because they were at my house at 3 o'clock in the morning. And they were, they didn't do anything much but check my pulse ox levels, my blood pressure, and a few things. But it was the comfort that they gave and keeping me calm when I was otherwise panicking. The 911 dispatcher who took the call, I don't know if it's a county person who switches it over to a Harrison dispatcher. That man stayed on the phone with me until the first truck got there. The first truck got there in just a few minutes because, fortunately, in Harrison, if you live anywhere, you're close to the fire station. But I'm even closer. And that guy wouldn't let get off the phone until somebody was there to take care of me. And the paramedics from St. Clair's Medical to everybody at St. Michael's Medical Center where I was treated and released, everybody was phenomenal. And I just want to thank them all and say to all of you, too, I didn't think I would be here today to be able to do this. And I'm not trying to sound all dramatic or melodramatic or anything like that, but, after an experience like that, I realize how fortunate I am to be part of this community, to be able to serve all of you, and also to have been taken care of the way I was by the Harrison Fire Department and the EMTs from St. Clair's and St. Michael's. So thank you to all the people who are involved, and thank you to all of you for all you do, because without you, there's no us. And that's why I'm excited about year 135 and all the things that we're going to be able to bring to you in the coming months and years. So use us, folks. That's why we're here. From the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com, Kevin Canessa signing off for now, and I hope to see you back here again very, very soon. We'll join you if anything breaks during the course of the week. Take care, everybody. Have a good rest of your Monday night.